not even going to do it. All right, there you go. We got cooler music now.
We need to.
We got cooler music
You
now.
got cooler music?
Yeah.
Okay, how about I press the button, you put that cool music over it. Ready?
Oh, look, Joey put cool music. Just kidding. Keegan did it. Oh, just kidding. We didn't do anything because it's really difficult to do that. All right.
Wait, I feel like we need a proper intro.
Gosh.
You can't complain about him being extra when you just sit over a button.
I just love to throw Joey off. I love to throw Joey off.
That was like
Are
a
you
double
going to hit
tap.
it like 4 more times? Well, there's that.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of that in this episode.
A lot of that. Well, what is up, Prolific Podcast? We hope you guys are doing great today. We got a special guest today, all the way from Sundance, which is
from the far lands of Sundance.
Far land.
Wow, mama. Well, technically, I mean, you're not from there.
No, technically
I am.
Technically, I'm
there.
from the 305.
305, Miami. She's Pitbull.
That makes so much sense.
No, it doesn't.
Did that just blow your mind?
No, it doesn't make any
Dude.
sense.
That makes so much sense.
She's Pitbull.
No,
What
she
up,
just
homie?
like all the extra from Miami.
Stop.
The truth on that one. Hashtag. All right. It's okay. We'll have plenty of time for you to mess with things. All right. So you can here, let me have it just a little bit. Bring down the mic a little bit. Just down a little bit. Like, yep. Pull it
There
down.
you go. Slightly
Yeah, a
down.
little
There
bit.
you go. That's good
There
right
it
there.
is. That's the money. It
Perfect.
looks like your
Now I
nose
can
is
see your
talking.
teeth.
Yeah,
There
it
you
looked
go.
like your nose was talking. So I got you.
Just pulling
Okay.
a Dr. Seuss.
Just Dr. Seuss.
Can you try to talk with your nose for just a second?
Back to it. We got a special guest today. Super, super excited. We got Megan. There it is. Yeah, we got clapping hands. You probably, if you do know her, awesome. If you don't, a little history with us.
Yeah.
We all used to work at the same church together at Wellspring Community Church. We also, I mean, I was homeschooled, so technically we didn't go to high school together.
Yeah.
But that was well done. I'm surprised you remember that button.
So quick.
That was a good one.
That was really good.
His day is
I'm
fulfilled.
gonna save that moment. I'm gonna savor it.
He's going to cut just that clip.
spot. I was homeschooled. All right. Yet I'm still smarter than you. All right, moving forward. I was homeschooled, played for the school that you went to. I also knew your grandmother was my kindergarten teacher.
She was everybody's kindergarten
She
teacher,
was your
right?
wife's kindergarten
Yeah,
teacher.
Yeah. What's funny is my parents say that's when I got really loud was when I met your grandmother.
I think that's only because like her voice is so loud,
And
so
I had
you
to get up
You
to
had
match
to get
her.
up
Yeah,
to like
yeah.
respond. Like
Yeah.
you gotta match.
I mean, that's
her.
a great. I gotta ask my
So I
parents,
have
but
to
that is
know
very
this.
true.
There's actually a common link here that I think exists. You both have Italian descent, right?
Yeah.
Si, senor.
And so the loudness and the extraness, if that's a word, I'm gonna make it up here.
The extraness.
That's it makes sense. I never made that connection.
It's the hands.
It's
Okay,
really like
just
you just
no, but
gotta
it's like
like,
the passion and it's like the anger and the
passion and the
we
drive.
talk, they
It's like-
always say if you want to make an Italian shut up, make them sit on their hands
Yeah.
because we will literally be like just start pump faking.
I feel like
because
you
we
guys don't
can't.
use your hands as much though. I feel like it's
Apparently he
mostly like
doesn't
your
know us.
like your passion. Like you're just
Yeah.
kind of very like you just you
I
got
talk
Like when I
watch any
explain
of our
things, like
podcast
look,
episodes.
like literally, I
I'm-
just went to explain something
in
and I
my
was
hands and unintentionally.
explain.
Like yep.
It's
Now
like
you're just
I'm
overdoing
touching-
it.
Yeah.
No,
But now
I
you're
dare
making
you.
us
Go watch
conscious
any
about it.
episode.
Oh,
In the
Lord.
past.
I don't
You'll
watch our
see-
episodes.
Yeah,
Just joking.
that's a lie. But go watch anything. I'm literally talking with my hands the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
all the time.
Even if it's just a finger flinch.
Yeah, like
that.
me doing this is I'm not even thinking. Like I'm not even.
By the way,
it.
I haven't noticed that, but what I did notice in one of our last episodes, Joey's foot
Oh, yeah,
was
I always move.
swinging.
Yeah, I
bro,
always
I was
move.
like,
No,
it's just making me so tense.
Oh, it's funny because I used to stay calm. My dad like at places. So instead of fidgeting, I like tap my knees.
I do this a lot.
Yeah,
I do
and
that a lot.
so when I'm like when I cross my leg, is this my foot? Like, it's just my foot thinking.
All right.
Oh my
Don't
god.
do
Before
it.
we start, we need
No.
to
I'm
test.
so sorry.
no one
Prolific
As a new
Podcast.
guest, as a
you
new guest,
literally sound like a
I
dead battery.
I want you guys to watch how incredibly awful Megan is at this. Okay,
But I also
Because-
want to clarify how bad Alejo is at throwing them.
Yeah, he's not
Okay,
dead on.
this is literally. It's gonna hit
Literally.
your mouth, and it's
I'm
not
gonna,
going
like,
to make it
hit
in your
the
mouth.
mic.
Yeah, you're
Ready?
gonna hit the microphone.
Don't move. Ready?
Here we go.
Set?
Watch this microphone. There's a dead battery.
One more.
Dead battery.
You sound like a card.
Ready? Last one.
Last one, best one.
Okay.
Open. I'm really trying to make it. I'm not trying to just hit you.
Oh!
Let's go!
Well done. Oh, there's a lid down. That was good job. All right, we're done with this episode. Welcome to Pro Living Podcast, and we're done. This is a great conversation. We're done. Quit while we're ahead. Does that mean it's going to be a really good episode?
I think we are in for a very nice time.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. All right, but yeah, so excited.
That was all me, by the way.
Wow. He doesn't even give you any props. Megan,
never
it was a great
does.
catch.
Hey, no. I'm sorry. Let me give you credit. Thank you for having a mouth and opening it.
That sounds so wrong.
So wrong. All right, moving forward.
Oh gosh.
Moving forward. So Megan and I, we've known each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've known your brothers for a while. Grandmother was my kindergarten teacher. When did you move to the Ruskin area? That's something I don't remember.
Was it 2011?
Okay, so yeah, it was my sophomore year, my junior year, because that's what I couldn't remember is when you actually moved in the area. But yeah, so we've known each other for a good bit. She lives was across the street from one of my
good friend.
buddies.
Megan, if you guys know this, I mean, a lot of you guys know us. Realistically speaking, the only people watching this are our moms, and
that's a lie.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Someone from Ukraine the other day.
We have actually a lot of countries watching us. Really cool.
Puerto Rico.
But if you don't know us, Megan is like a sister to us. Like really. I mean, we mess with Megan. We joke with Megan. We Megan knows our kids. Megan is truly like a sister to us, and it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. Isn't it super cool how God gives you family, like outside of
That's
your
not
blood family, like
but
you're really.
Someone told me what was it? The old saying, blood is thicker than water. It's people say that as a biological thing, my blood, my family blood is thicker than water, but it's actually faith-based. It's the blood of Christ is thicker than the water of the world.
Oh, wow.
So what connects us through the blood of Christ is so much stronger than the water of this world.
I believe that.
Wow.
I believe
check that.
I
checked
so
it. That's
cool.
powerful. That's
Yeah.
I talk to my spiritual family a lot more than I talk to my physical family, which is kind of crazy. But so to give you guys a little bit of context, again, Megan is a sister of ours. In Megan's story, I mean, your story, we could go on and on about all the things we have gone through, and we could probably be here for 5 hours, 24 hours going through this. But today's focus in our conversation is a recent experience that Megan has gone through, which is, Megan has been in missions for a little bit now, which, by the way, I never expected you to go that route.
Homie, neither did I.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
This girl might be one of the single most risk-adverse and planner person that you will ever meet.
Used to be. You used to be.
Well, that's what I mean. You used
planners, everything was planned out.
You were very risk-adverse.
Yeah.
Very, very risk-adverse.
So let me ask you that question to start. So tell us when you started missions, and tell us one primary thing that changed in you from before going on missions, which I think your first mission trip was to Africa,
South
right?
Africa, yeah.
And then Megan after. So tell us when you started missions and what changed, what was the big change?
So
and what shifted before? So who were you before? The Megan that was before.
So the Megan that was before, I was very dedicated to my family. Very dedicated, very loyal individual, just cared for people. I played a lot of things safe. I wanted to pursue the Lord, but I'll be honest, I was more religious than relationship. Relationship was really foreign to me. So I just knew how to go through the motions and keep a smile on my face and go through adversity and keep a smile on my face. And I was the person who took care of my mom for years when she got sick, until she passed away. And after my mom passed away, I didn't realize how much of my faith was her faith. I was raised in my home and I was in a Christian home and I knew God and I had a relationship with him, but I didn't realize how much of my faith was actually in my mom's faith.
Tied to it.
Tied to it. If I knew my mom was praying about it, Lord have mercy. I was it's going to be taken care of.
The Lord's got it.
It's like the parent-teacher note.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My kid didn't write her homework, so this is why she's still needs the blessing.
There's a special anointing on our
So
mothers.
in other words, you had a parent-teacher note, while mom was still here,
Yeah,
in your faith.
I think I had gone through so much, so much just throughout my life for being an 18-year-old at the time. And I was only 21 when my mom passed away.
Crazy.
And so to experience,
I think we were all there, by the way, right? We were there. We were there that day together. We went to get ice cream after.
We went to get ice cream
after just to kind of, which by the way, can I tell you something that's really cool? Anytime like sad things happen, ice cream is like a go-to for me now. After that day.
Yeah.
I've never shared that with you, but I was with a buddy the other day and his grandma was like passing and I was like,
let's go get ice cream.
Yeah. I was like, let's go get ice cream. And he was like, ice cream? Cause even that day we were like, I think, who was it? Pastor Joey was like, let's go get us some ice cream, right?
Let's go get ice cream.
And we went to get ice cream and I was like, how do you feel? And he was like, I feel a lot better.
Fat and sugar, man.
So anyway, I'm sorry, keep going.
No, yeah. So I kind of lost myself in that period. I was so dedicated to my mom. I was straight A student. I was in college. And I was very perfectionist, very OCD because I was very much a people pleaser. Like I had to achieve, not for myself, for the people around me to show them like, look at her. She can win the world. She can do all these things. And, when my mom passed, like things crashed. Like I became a shell of a person. Like I just stopped eating. I stopped existing. I didn't know how to be without my mom. And slowly but surely,
you were her caretaker for a while too.
It flipped. Like the role of mother-daughter went from mother-daughter to caretaker, and like that's my mom, and I'm trying to save her life.
And naturally, I think, if this, I don't know if this encourages you, but it encourages me that 99% of people have to go through that at some point.
Yeah.
Right? Like not, and of course, like it's tragic that you went through it so early, but it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Right? And so like, for example, we just had another friend, Andrea, who was caring for her dad passing. Right. And it's like, I look at that and I'm like, man, like at some point we're all going to have to deal with what you dealt with. How do you live without your parent? Who are you without the love of like the present in-person love of your parent? Like we're all going to have to like one day deal with that. And we can only pray that God will, I don't think I told you this enough, Megan, but like I gain a lot of hope for when hard times come, not only through you, but yes, through you a lot, because a lot of times you see people who, have, their attachments and stuff like that, which we all have them. We all have our parents, our kids, our spouses, like people that we love, that we dearly, dearly love, that like in many ways we are who we are because of them. But then at the same time, like knowing just what God has done with you, and, things don't stop hurting. They do change though. Wouldn't you say they change over time, which is crazy to think about?
It's that redemption piece. Like, I feel like people, when they look at God, they only say redemption when you step into salvation, but that's not how God operates. Like there's been so much redemption in my mom's death, because I was like, I was 21 years old. Like my mom didn't see me get married. Like I'm still single. Like she didn't get to see my brother get married. Like she didn't see her grandchild be born. Like when I'm sitting at my mom's deathbed and I'm like, I'm not going to have her for these like big moments, like pick out my wedding dress one day. Like, how am I going to walk through that? It's the Lord, how he sees not just the desires of our heart, but he sees the pain in our heart. He catches the tears, like in Psalms, like he says, he catches every tear.
And you know that, like you really know that.
Like,
but it took a while.
But it takes a while to feel that catch.
But that's normal though, right?
Because, because we live in such a physical world. We don't live in the spiritual. We live in a very physical world where pain hurts. Like I felt my heart tear when my mom passed away. And literally I had to get to a place where like Joey and April stepping in, when they stepped into my life, they tough love me, but I had to let them tough love me. Like I had to let them like re-pick me up and be like, Joey once said to me, he was like, how unfortunate would it be if we lost 2 lives instead of 1? Because I was resolved. I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I've already been through so many traumatic things. Like I just can't carry this weight. And April came alongside me, and I remember her standing next to my mom's casket with me
Mm-hmm.
and just praying over me in that moment, and just how they surrounded me and kept me.
Mm-hmm.
And they've
And parented
literally,
you.
and that's where that redemption comes in, is like they are now spiritual mom and dad.
Yeah.
Like they've adopted me.
Yeah.
And like when they introduced me to people, like, this is our spiritual daughter. Like this is our daughter.
Yeah.
And they so like that redemption came in. Like the Lord saw that this 21-year-old young girl who doesn't know how to do taxes or like file her registration or remember to put oil in her car or actually like have a car that's running, like has parents to help continue guiding her.
By the way, this is for somebody 16-year-old daughter out there. Go change your oil.
Go change your oil. Go change
Learn
your
how
oil.
to change a tire.
Look at your tires.
Learn how to change your own tire.
Trick. Get the penny trick. Make sure it's not about to blow up. You
Wait,
know,
what's
on
the
the
penny
tread.
trick?
Oh God, have mercy. Penny trick. It's your tread on your tires. So you put a penny.
For all the girls out there,
Oh my gosh.
just go pay to have it done.
Yeah. I mean, you can go.
Just go do it. Yeah.
Go
that's
find
good.
yourself
That's
a
good. That's
mechanic,
good.
man. You know, come on. Yeah, he'll.
Yeah, because oh my gosh.
So actually, and again, I know that like there's like so many nuances to your story.
Yeah.
But I think Joey and April are a good transition point to your going to Africa, because I know that. So tell me a little bit about. I know that you had a season that was like really tough after your mom, and you had some like unhealthy relationships and like things like that, right? And then there was like a point where you were almost kind of shoved towards purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Literally shoved.
Yeah.
So yeah, after mom died, it was kind of like this identity journey of like, who am I now that like school was basically finished, so I can't be an academic anymore. My mom's gone, so I can't take care of her anymore. Like my big things that kept me and gave me purpose were all gone. It was like God, it was like a bad magic trick. Like God didn't pull the tablecloth and leave the dishes. Like he
took everything.
He swiped everything and like left me sitting at the table. Like, what do you think about
Alone
that
with
now?
him.
It's
Alone
not
with him.
funny, but it's a
Alone with
really
him.
funny analogy.
But that's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
But
because that's what death does to, and like destruction, and when things and just life, like there's a moment where I think that's such a beautiful picture, and I've never seen it that way. It's like, I think there's a beautiful moment where God goes, hey, I've been setting this table, and you've actually now begin to consume yourself in the identity of the feet. Like, it's
not even God setting the table. I think so many times we set the table and we start cooking the food, and like when we say like God's a crockpot God, like we put all the ingredients in, right? But like only God knows when that time is right. And then sometimes he scraps the meal because he's like, you made it wrong.
Yeah.
Or you thought it was supposed to be this, but we're actually going to have this.
Yeah.
Or it's just a different season.
It's just a different season.
It's
So
okay, this is beautiful. Look at the table that's been set before you for the past 10 years.
Let's start something
It's beautiful.
new.
Like, and I mean, that was our life, you know, in 2020 as well, before COVID. Like, it was like, look at this beauty. It's so beautiful. And then it was like, boom, and you're like,
well, the thing with death and like all that stuff, just to kind of, I want to continue to hear from you, but like, the thing with death is that nobody truly is ever prepared for it. Like, you know, even if you're seeing it come, even if you're seeing like, because for example, like, you know, you had a friend that passed tragically without anybody knowing that was going to happen. And you had your mom who was getting more sick as time went by, and you could kind of be able to kind of predict it.
People from the outside saw it. I didn't see it. I just saw my mom and trying to save her life until Joey stepped in and was like, hey, like, mom's not getting better.
Yeah.
I think she's going home.
But what I'm trying to say is like you were both unprepared regardless of the situation.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, but keep going.
Yeah. So I went on this identity journey of just trying to find myself. And like, I started at a martial arts gym. I started doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I fell in love with it. And I started, but as much as that was healthy for me, I was also seeking unhealthy things. Like I was trying to find love in all the wrong places. I just was getting myself into these bad relationships, like one after the other, just trying to fill a hole, trying to complete myself, because like society standard is like, you need a husband, you need someone, you need that compliment, anybody to fill the hole. And just the void that I had in my life. And so I just kept searching and searching and trying, and it just caused so much more pain.
Right.
And I loved my job at the church. I was doing kids ministry, and I knew it wasn't my forever. Like almost the entire time. Like I was just supposed to be hired on as a ministry assistant.
But you were faithful. And that's something else about you, Megan, that I haven't told you in a while.
Yeah.
You are so faithful.
Yeah.
You are faithful. You are for a young woman.
Loyal. It's the loyalty
Like,
in you.
I mean, you are
It's
just
the Italian blood. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's just there's a certain thing that's just like the people I'm at and where I'm at.
Yeah.
No, but
It's
there's
where I'm
something
at.
to say about the fact that you are the only
Yeah.
person
Yep.
that planted the church, other than Pastor Joy and April,
Mhm.
who is still on staff, because even Jill was hired on later.
Yeah, she came
you know?
later.
Yep.
So like I just want to commend you for that as a big
Yeah.
brother. You know, like that's a big deal. You know,
Yeah.
and we used to make fun of Pastor Joy and April are gonna see this, so it's kind of funny. We used to make fun of if you've seen the Hunger Games, when a person would pass, there would be at the very end of the day there'll be the cannon, boom, and then you hear the song.
Well, that was specific for the one tribe.
Yeah, for the one tribe, right? And so anytime somebody,
It was worse when you sent the picture of like one of
That
our
was-
old staff
oh, yeah.
pictures and you had red X's.
Oh, we literally-
red
we
X's
X'd
everybody,
all of us.
and then we were like, it was just funny, you know. You gotta
Yeah,
laugh at this stuff.
Well, and it was a joke. Like it's not like I would say 90% of us are very in like good places and good relationship. We've kinda- And obviously there's
But
still
that's it goes back to the seasons thing. Like there's a time.
But my
to
point
be,
is, you're the only one left from that picture.
Yeah,
you know, and that's a
so-
huge deal.
Yeah, it's the loyalty to me. Like I'm a 6 on the Enneagram. And now I used to be like a 6 wing 5, and now like I'm a 6 wing 7 hard. Like that adventure side of me is part of what's so different. But I had gotten to the place in ministry where like it was mundane. It was like I could do it. I did it every weekend. It wasn't growing, but it wasn't struggling. And there was a lot of changes going on at the church at the time. And I just was hitting this wall, like brick wall, banging my head against a wall. Like I was doing it, but there was just this like dissatisfaction of
Just
like,
kinda in limbo
if
a
this
little
is
bit.
like,
Yeah.
is this going to be what I'm going to do for like forever?
Yeah.
Like, is this what I went to college for? Is this like, why am I here kind of thing? And so April sat me down one day because she noticed, like, she's spiritual mom. Like Joey and April know me. Like I don't have a poker face. I can't ever play poker.
You have
like,
the worst poker face in the world.
Worst poker face.
Yeah,
like
amen.
all emotions. Like if you think I don't like you, it's probably accurate.
You're on the
Like it's like it just shows. It's so bad. I've tried so hard to change it, but it's who I am, and it's hard.
Yeah,
I just learn to embrace it.
Yeah.
So she sat me down and she was like, "You're just not happy here." And I was like, "What? No, yeah, I can still do my job." Like, yeah, like the people pleaser in me was just like, "Ah." She's like, "No." She was like, "You need to start sending resumes out." And like your boss telling you to send resumes out, it's like,
That's so
are you
good.
trying to like, are you trying
to get me out? Yeah. Are you
Yeah,
trying
like,
to push me out?
am I like getting fired?
Mhm.
Like, am
Yep.
I not doing a good job? And she's like, no. She was like, you are in a place where she's like, Maggie, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like your mom passed away. Like your brothers are on their own. Like your family. Like she was like, you didn't get to have that college experience. You became an adult at the age of 12. Like you need to go be a 20 something. And she was like, go put your resume out. Here's a couple job options that I found that I think would be up your alley. Just look, do some research. And that's when I found my first organization experience mission. And literally we all found it the same way. We like Googled young adult mission trips. And it was like, oh, hey, this doesn't look sketch. Yeah, I'll go to Africa for 3 months.
I'm not going to get kidnapped. Okay.
Yeah. So my original goal was to go to Israel for 3 months and live there. Yeah.
Right, and that fell through.
Because
that's good for this conversation.
That's when
I didn't know that. I just knew that you were looking into missions and like I knew that, but I didn't
COVID
realize.
happened.
So-
COVID happened.
No.
So-
It was 2021.
No, I'm about to say that Israel was past that.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
past
Yeah,
COVID.
it was
Yeah.
2021.
I didn't
Okay.
tie those into the same thing. I didn't tie that into that.
It was past COVID. And so COVID was still very real in Israel. And so borders were closed, but it was supposed to open that summer. And they were super hopeful that it was. And so I signed up. I started learning Hebrew. I was so dedicated. I was passionate. I was like excited for something new. And I had told Joey in April, and like I stepped down off staff, and I trained a new intern to take my place, and I was just ready. Like she saw it in me. I prayed about it. I felt it in myself, and I was like, okay, God, like if I'm going to take this step, you're going to provide for it. And I tried to launch in January, tried to launch in February, tried to launch in March, like this funding campaign. Cause like I had to raise money, not just for, my trip. I had to raise money for myself. I'm an independent.
Yep.
And I was fundraised within 20 days, $15,000
Praise
Wow.
God.
of just
Come on.
being able to support myself, paying for my trip, and like also being able to buy supplies and other things. And I was about a month out of leaving for my trip, and I get this phone call. Well, I don't get a phone call first. I see the news first. And the Iron Dome is going off. There's a conflict within the country. Like, Israel's completely shut down because it was a conflict with Palestine. And,
and this is in 2021.
This is 2021, May of 2021.
Yep. Just want to make sure we had that timeline on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was devastated. But you know how God works? It was very Abraham and Isaac of like, God's like, Israel was your everything. Are you still going to give me your everything? Even though like it's not what you thought it was. Like Abraham thought he was going to have to sacrifice his son, his promise. Like Israel was my promise. And he was like, are you still willing to give it back to me? And I was like, oh. Maybe. I had to sit with it for a while. And Joey was like, so you're going to South Africa? And I was like, who told you that?
Sounds like Pastor Joey.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're doing this.
He was like,
I am?
You're going. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Come on.
I'm so bullheaded. I dug in my heels and I was like, I'm not going.
Megan?
Oh, shut up.
No.
Does not sound like
she's the
Don't say that about my friend Megan.
Megan, you better be nice to Megan.
I know I can be an intense person, but I've changed that verbiage from intensity to I'm just a very passionate person. Like I love with my whole being. I'm very extra.
Tomato, potato.
Are you throwing that in just because of the red hair? Like, is that your one brother comment? Like, do we need that moment so you can be like satisfied so we can move on?
Can we
with the
talk about that? How clever?
Oh my god!
No, we can't.
That comment was
because we're still trying to get to this one point in the story.
I'm sorry. Keep going.
And we're like 27 minutes in. All right, continue. So yeah. Sorry, listeners.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was a lot. So Israel, I was devastated. And my relationship at the time had ended badly, like very badly. So I was distraught. I felt like I was all back, like to just
back to ground zero kind of thing.
Oh my gosh. But what I had to realize, it wasn't like going back to ground zero. It was just another new step. It was just another guidance on my path and where the Lord was taking me. And so of course I'm on the phone with my director and she's like, yeah, we have a couple other trips that are open. We have Belize, but there's like, I can maybe squeeze you in. It's already full. And we have South Africa. I have spots on South Africa for you. And, they're willing to take more people. And I was like, oh, that was the last place I wanted to go.
That was like literally the complete opposite of who Megan is.
That was like,
I'm so happy for you.
Going to South Africa was like number 0.
So
like
tell me about South Africa. Tell me about just like
quick
briefly,
5,000. Yeah, 5,000.
5,000. Like how South Africa was and how it changed you. Like what did South Africa do for you?
So I ended up spending 9 months there.
Right, and which originally was supposed to be like 3 months.
3 months, and a month in, I got hired to be the 6-month team's leader. Because like Amanda was on conversation, she was like, "You basically just choose a trip, be a leader, because we already had our eyes on you from before you started this trip," and like totally honored and like privileged to be looked at that way.
Thank you so much. No.
Like, but I was like purposefully there to not be any kind of staff. Like I had just come from that. I needed a break from that. Not my 9 months was hard. It pushed me more as an individual person than as a team person. Like I saw so many of my shortcomings as a leader. I saw so many of my shortcomings as a friend. It drew the best and worst out of me, but it also taught me how to love people well. Like when you go to Africa, it just changes you and it gets in your bloodstream, to set yourself aside, to learn how to become third, to not even be like, oh, like Lord, family. It's like, no, the Lord, serving others, and then serving myself. Like there's that gap, and we miss that second piece so much because we think it's like God, serve you. And it's like, no. Like God has called you to his people. And so to like set yourself aside and try to learn the language and like speak Afrikaans and just be willing to sit with people. Like it wasn't jamming Jesus down people's throat. It was like, hey, can I have a cup of coffee with you? Like, can I just learn who you are?
Like such a patient kind of.
It's a patient.
It's what I call like genuine, real mission.
So I got to tell you, because
you go relational.
You have, and I want to make sure, to honor you in your time, because you have somewhere to be today. And I want to get to kind of where you are today and your recent events, but to kind of fast forward through the Africa trip. I don't know. I've told you about my experience with you when you got back, right? So, I see you at Starbucks randomly. We didn't plan to see each other.
Are you talking about the bucket thing? You're not going to talk
was
about
that
it.
too?
No, I don't think you were there that day.
No.
You were there at different times.
That was the second. You were there like a week later. I walked in.
Yeah, because I kept seeing her there because you kept going over there.
I had literally just gotten back.
So she had just gotten back.
Like this was my Starbucks. But I had a Starbucks in like the city part of South Africa where I was at, but this was like my at-home Starbucks. And the Apollo Beach Starbucks
was new.
It was new.
Yeah.
It wasn't open. And I was like, I need to, like my white girl needs to experience this.
I know, right? White girl. I'm a white girl. I need my Starbucks.
Yeah.
So I see you that day. And to kind of, I don't mean to answer the question for you, but just to kind of tell you from my side what I experienced, the Megan that I saw leave was such an in control Megan, was such a like, you were just like, if I could say it this way, I would say you were wound out very tight before you left. Like you were just wound up, right? Like just kind of, I call it like with your butt cheeks clenched, right? Like that's why I tell people I just, whatever. I'm Hispanic, so I get to say stuff like that. But so
we're not allowed to say that.
But like you just wound out very tight, right? Like
because I had to control my life.
Right.
Things around me were falling apart.
And you weren't in control.
My parents' marriage fell apart. My mom dying, it fell apart. Like things, for me, it was like the things that I was trying to grasp in my hands were slipping through.
Every time you grabbed it.
Every time I tried to freaking grab it.
But when you were here, before you left, anytime I was in your presence, I always felt like the more go with the flow person.
Yeah.
Right? Because we just had different experiences. I didn't have to go through the stuff you went through, right? So I wasn't wound as tight as you were before you left. But then I see you at that Starbucks and you sit there and you were so at ease.
Yep.
And I was like, I felt wound up.
You were.
I was. Yeah, I was like working and doing stuff and like doing this and go to that.
So sorry, I have a phone call. So sorry, I have this. Hold on, I got another meeting. And I was like, it's almost like we flipped.
Yeah. And I was like, that's how I knew you changed. Cause I was like, I left that Starbucks and I was like, I need to look at my life, cause you said this and it cracked me up. Cause this previous to Africa, Megan would have never said what I'm about to say.
Oh Lord.
You were like, no, it wasn't bad. You were like, yeah, the way I live my life now is I just kind of wait to see what's going to happen. And I was like,
so the phrase,
who are you?
It's like you want to slap her.
I was like, who are you? And what did you do with Megan?
Yeah. The picture that I had constantly with I led you for a period of time whenever you're on my volunteer team and like different things like that is you had a box of the Lord.
Yeah.
And he had to stay in that box.
Well,
you had a box of your life.
I didn't know how to unbox him. I didn't trust God.
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
Like
you trusted him in this box.
Yeah.
So, okay, Lord, you can move in this way. You can move in this form. You can move in this parameter. God, I like, that leader is going to have this version of me. Like you had a box
I
of it.
adapted to whatever environment I was in.
Whatever you needed to be.
That is, that is probably exactly who I was before missions was I adapted to whoever, however, whatever I needed to do for whoever was around me. Like that's why I was so good in school. Like I was a straight A student. I could adapt to be athletic. I could adapt to being like, get all the superlatives, be like the top of my class. Like I knew how to adapt and I knew how to blend. I was good at it, which was a bad thing. So that means I also got away with a lot of bad things. But South Africa,
I feel like I finally met you.
When
you got back.
I finally met myself. That was the biggest
when
thing.
You've been wearing a mask for so long with so many different things, when you get shifted out of a place and you're forced to get to know who you are, like it's like you're seeing your face for the first time in a mirror.
I finally saw myself for the first time in the mirror. And that's why I say it brought out the best and the worst in me through those 9 months because
now you see you're like, crap. that's a version I don't want.
I knew I wasn't the best leader to my team. Like there was moments where I led them well. And for the parameters of being in a foreign country, I knew there were certain things that I could not bend on. And I had to be strict with them. But then there was some things where in my mind after like going through the trip, I was like, I probably could have let that slide. Like I probably could have let that be a little more lax because Pa or Hein and Helene, who are our in-country missionaries, we called them Ma and Pa. Like they were mom and dad to us while we were there. And
in Africa.
Yeah. And this team, like every team that I was there with, like all you got was a 50-pound hiking backpack. Like that's what you got. That was your home. That was your life. That was your saving grace. Like you wore the same 5 outfits
all
every
the time.
single day.
I want to just pause for a second and say, Megan is not, and this is going to be a different conversation because this is my own qualm with missions, but like Megan didn't go on vacation.
Yeah.
No,
you know,
don't even get me started.
Okay. So we can
that's probably a whole other episode.
That's a
for
whole
you.
other episode, and we need to have you on for that.
All of us are in the same realm in that.
There is such a misnomer about missions and vacations.
Right.
Like,
well, that's why I said that's true mission. There was something I said very critical.
We literally had to go
mission.
down to our bare minimum, like 5 outfits. You wore the same 5 outfits.
And minister to people long term. And like, because that's the other thing about missions, that sometimes it's like you have
a week.
Yeah. And not to say you can't do a work during that week, because we're going to talk about that, right? Yeah. But it's like, you know, these mission trips that Paul would talk about is he would go and like build churches from the ground up, and he would create relationships with people in the town. Yep. Like he would, like, for example,
and it doesn't happen overnight. And that's where I think, cause like one of the main questions I got back was like, how many people did you lead to Christ? And like in my 9 months, 1 person. And I'm pretty sure she was drunk. Like, so and the moment that I led her to the Lord, I remember the Lord speaking to me like, she's mine now. Let me take care of her. Because I had so many doubts and questions in my own spirit about that.
But we went the crock pot Christianity.
Microwave.
Oh, sorry. Macrowave, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, not crock pot. Microwave. Like you want the salvation quick. You want to preach one message. It gets done.
You want the count, everything. And so what Pa really taught us.
I'm going to start kicking things here. So keep going.
What Pa really taught us in South Africa, like through all the different countries, like in South Africa, we really learned the heart of service, how we serve, what the time we spend during serving, like really getting to know names and people, looking beyond someone's eyes and hearing their story as a human being. Because when you get all those details, you're not just shoving Jesus down their throat. You are learning how to love that person. That's like Jesus sat in the temple. Like he spoke in the temple. Like he sat with people. Like when you get to know someone, like you have a conversation with them. And now, because you know how to love them, you know how to like love them specifically. You see the holes that are in their heart. So you know how to pray for them now. And as you pray for them in the silence, God's doing something in the physical that you don't even see. And like South Africa, like the whole Africa trip slowed me down so much.
Yeah, you came back with that patience.
Yeah, because our saying every single day, we didn't know what we were doing the next day. It was very day to day for like a year.
And that is not Megan.
Oh, no. No.
Megan had her life plan.
Schedules. I had like.
That's why the Lord had to go. Boom.
Oh, 1000%.
Like that's the thing. Like I wasn't a planner for a while, and that's why the Lord had to go and remove those things.
Cool how you and it's so cool to be reminded. I wasn't prepared to talk about or remember that Israel was on your heart from the start. I didn't even remember that, and so that
was my delayed promise. That wasn't my denied promise.
He had to prepare you.
I thought he denied me of that, but he just delayed me of it.
Come on, that is so cool.
So that's why if you, no, I'm just kidding. I was gonna say, so the special episode is go later. No,
well, let me ask. Let me ask you this. So you come back, you know, and you came back as the missions director now of the church, right? So you went from kids, now you came back to do missions.
Now I oversee global and local outreach, and which is definitely my heart. Like Pa, one of the things that he said to us was, "We build the plane as we fly it." And if we end up with the landing brakes, praise God. If we don't, you know,
I love that.
Why'd you tell him that? Don't tell him that.
Oh, Joey's probably like aching right now that I heard you say that.
Don't tell him that.
We build a plane as we fly it.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes,
thanks for ruining my entire life.
I received that like manna. The reason why we're laughing is because we're business partners, you know.
Oh, I know. I can only imagine. But like God's timing, I cannot emphasize that enough. Like God's timing's not our own timing, and God's plan's not our plan.
Amen. Amen.
So I became global and local outreach director, and the Jerusalem encounter was coming up, and it had literally gotten tossed on my plate. Like, and I started talking with Melissa from our global partner firm, was who we were doing the Jerusalem encounter with, and we had all these other trips coming up that I basically through, 2022, like just scathed because they had already planned trips. I just had to execute them.
Yeah.
But that was my passion, man. Like to come back from Africa and teach people like how to see missions, how to do missions, how to do it well.
And redeem the name of missions.
And redeem the name of missions.
Yeah.
Like that was my whole heart. Like I would sit with Pa for hours in Billiam, which is this little van that we would go places with. And we would just talk the kingdom of God and kingdom mindset and how to love people well and like God's viewpoint of his people and not just like certain people groups, but all people.
All people, all tribes.
To just put yourself aside. And so now I got the opportunity to take everything I learned from these last 9 months and like feed it. And I was like so earnest. Like I was so like excited. Like I am very passionate about my job and not even just do it on a global level, but I also do it on local level. So I do global and local outreach and I get to help build relationships in the community and help do serve day projects or just small projects throughout the community. And those like small things that are also like not noticed or talked about from the church and just serve people well and then teach our congregation how to do that and send them because like one person in one church can't house every single ministry and do it well. Like they just can't. There's not enough people and like everyone has a passion for everything. But if you are not setting a foundation to do it well and allow people to learn how to do it well, you're actually not setting them up for success at all. You're just teaching them, yeah, go do it, have fun. And then what happens? They get hurt, they fail. And like what? And they look at God like, God, this didn't work out. And it's like, no, you went at it too fast. Like you started too fast. Like I put this desire in you, but I needed you to learn first. I need you to just sit first. Like it's the book of Ephesians. If you talk about the book of Ephesians, like in the first couple of chapters, like it talks about how we have to sit with the Lord.
Amen.
And then in the next couple of chapters, it talks about how we stand in the Lord. We stand firm in the Lord. And then the final few chapters, it talks about how we walk with the Lord, not run. We walk with the Lord.
Right.
And if you miss those steps in ministry and missions, like you can get so far ahead of yourself. And so God just taught me so much about how to just step out in faith and
trust him
in the unexpected and the unplanned, in the waves around you that you just don't see. And even in the chaos, when you want to doubt or shift lanes because God isn't showing up how you want him to show up, like to be patient and humble enough to be like, okay, God has me here. I'm going to stay and serve here.
That's so hard. That's so hard in today's generation.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you. So you come back. You're leading local and international missions, and then you begin to help the church. But now God is priming you for the continuation or the promise that he was preparing you for, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question before you tell me about, I think this might be the next episode because I think we just kind of gave context to like everything that we're going to talk about. But to kind of finish this one off, can you tell me what you think would have happened if you would have gone to Israel before you went to Africa?
That's hard.
With your recent, and don't give me all the details about the recent thing with Israel because we're about to go into that in the next episode. But like, if you would have gotten to that promise too soon without the change that happened in Africa with Ma and Pa and just being discipled the way you were, like, what do you think would have happened to you?
I wouldn't have seen Israel. I would have looked at Israel. I think God would have still had something for me there because like God's always like, if God brings you to it, he's going to bring you through it kind of thing. Like, so he obviously, if he would have provided for it and didn't close the door, he would have had something for me.
Sure.
But I don't think I would have been prepared for what I just walked through in the month of October, the way I was prepared this past October. I think I would have changed my decision. I think I don't
probably would have crumbled.
I probably would have crumbled.
Yeah.
I would have had this firm foundation to stand on. And to be honest, when I was in South Africa, I remember the exact moment of where I was when the word of God became living for me. When this light bulb moment happened and I saw scripture as my lifeline.
Come on, man.
And if scripture is not your lifeline and you go to Israel's just a bunch of buildings to you. When I went to Israel on the Jerusalem encounter, it felt as if I was walking with my old friend who I never met in person, who I've been writing to and talking with over the phone for years of my life. But now I got to meet him face to face. Like that's what Israel was for me.
That's so amazing.
And
because he is the Word,
He is the Word, and the Word was made flesh.
But that wasn't a part of you yet. That wasn't. You hadn't gone through your mom's death. You hadn't gone through your identity journey.
Well, I had gone through my mom's death, but like South Africa was developing me as a person. It was showing me like I wasn't this perfect person. I couldn't maintain this perfect person. I couldn't control my life. Like things happened when we were in South Africa that changed our plans while we were there every single day, every single night. Like I had to live in the unknown, and the unknown was the scariest thing to me. And to have faith, like Pa always used to say, like you can count the seeds in a mango, but you can't count the mangoes in a seed.
I love that. I love that.
I said that just a episode ago. That you can count how many seeds are in an apple tree, but you can't count how many apples are inside of an apple seed.
Yeah. And so
I like the mango one better.
Yeah, I like mango too. Mango's better than apples. No, I agree. I concur.
I'm joking.
So to be willing enough, and you have to be willing to set yourself aside. I don't, there's this saying, like when you look at something, you can look away, but when you see something, you can't unsee it.
Ooh,
and
come on now.
I think
say
for
that
me,
again.
Yeah. When
say that again and say what you mean by that.
Okay.
Because I think that people can hear that and like not really understand what you mean.
There's a saying, and I picked this up from Pa, and he told me, when you look at something, you can look away, but when you see something, you can't unsee it. And it talks about the spiritual lens you're looking through, like the worldview you're looking through. Are you looking through the world's eyes? Are you looking through God's eyes? Or are you looking?
So looking through the world's eyes is looking, and looking through God's eyes is seeing.
Well, you think about a car crash. Like how many people slow down on the highway for a car crash? And it's like they all slow down because they want to look. They want to see what happens. And
they just want to look.
They want to look.
Just want to look.
And then what happens? They look away. They go to work. They go to the office. They continue on. And maybe they'll mention that car crash when they got home. Oh my gosh, there was this bad car wreck when I got home. But 5 days later, that's not even in their mind anymore.
But guess who saw it?
The people that were on the front lines. Like when you see something, when you see a person,
you have to do something about it.
When you put a name to a face, that's no longer something like I still remember people. So like good. I can tell you almost all the names of the people in the African market in Namibia where I was at. Why? Because I spent time with them. I built relationship with them. I sat with them. I got to know them. I got to know their kids and their families. Like I still get phone calls from them. Like Luigi calls me probably like every other month. And like, those are the people that have my heart. Like I have family. I don't have friends. I have family in South Africa. I have family in Namibia. I stayed with my family in Lesotho. Like those, I saw them.
You saw them, so you can never unsee them.
They're imprinted on my heart. So when you see something, when you see pain,
it actually it starts to affect you. Like
you feel it.
Yeah, like it's. I think that's. I think a lot of believers. I think because I think we gotta land this.
Yes, but because I think we gotta. This is a good.
Yeah.
So this, I think this is a great spot to transition. To finish that thought, and just keep in mind for you guys who are listening, because we're gonna talk about Megan's experience in Israel. Going through October 7th and the bombing that just happened.
The bombing that just
and going through that entire thing, and I now understand what you meant. Why you made decisions you made by the saying, when you look, you can look away. When you see, you can't unsee. So keep that in mind as we move on to this next episode. Finish us off.
Yeah.
Joey.
Well, I just think that perspective alone, a lot of us believers, a lot of us that follow Jesus, I think sometimes we get into the thought of like my next door neighbor.
Do you know your neighbor's name?
Yeah. Like that type of statement, like the people I see in a grocery store, the people I see every day at a restaurant, whatever it might be, you know, I go to that coffee shop, whatever it might be, right? There's things that we do day to day that just as believers, I think we take for granted the aspect of like the missions field that we are on every single day. Yeah. Every single day there is a person that we see. Every single day there's someone that has a story. Every single day there's someone that is actually hurting. Every single day someone is going through something. And I think a lot of believers, we go on to these missions with a better eyesight, looking to see things. Yeah. When our every day we're just looking. We're just like, oh yeah,
looking away.
Jimmy's going through that, man. Oh, that's so really cool. Okay, see ya, and we roll, right? When that's just, I think that is such a critical step as believers that we need to see, and yeah, there's so much to that. But hey,
there's so much.
Yeah, there's so much.
But
hey,
hang tight. We're literally gonna continue our conversation.
Yep. So we're gonna cut this, and we're gonna jump into Israel on this next episode. So hey, thank you for sharing your story of Africa and like everything that you've been in for this episode. And I'm really excited for this next episode. So stick with us. I think it's going to be released the following week, but yeah, you don't want to miss it.
Love you guys.
Prolific Podcast.
Bye-bye.
Deuces.
See you later.